You want weapons? We're in a library. Books! Best weapons in the world. This room is the greatest arsenal we could ever have. Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam. Today we're going to be talking about Tardisode 2, written by Gareth Roberts and directed by Ashley Way, and also Tooth and Claw, written by Russell T Davies and is directed by Euro Lynn. This is the second story of the second season of Doctor Who, and surprisingly, that makes it the first story in which the 10th Doctor and Rose interact with each other for the majority of the story. Yeah, isn't that weird? Their third outing, their second story in the second season, is when they finally have a story where they're actually interacting with each other for the majority of it. In New Earth, we had Cassandra in Rose's body, and in Christmas Invasion, the 10th Doctor was hardly in it, so making this story very unique in that sense. Now, like all of episodes in season 2, there was a short prequel in the format of the Tardisode, a small little clip that you could have downloaded on your phone or off the internet. Sadly, however, they only exist in poor qualities on the internet. This one just has the meteorite come down to Earth, and then it cuts to like 300 years later, where we see a man going through the moor where he is suddenly attacked by the said werewolf. This one, I actually suggest skipping in a way. For one, it ruins the surprise, the mystery of the werewolf, and two, this story makes no sense because we see the wolf in daytime, which completely hinders the whole, werewolves come out in moonlight, it's pretty well shot, it's pretty, nicely made in my opinion, but and it's a nice little teaser into the story, into the narrative, but it does hinder the main narrative by having these contradictions and showing the reveal too early in the story, if you consider it like part of a whole, which I do. But yeah, anyway. Now, this story I have fond memories of watching on the TV, and that is because this story aired on my brother's birthday, and one of my distinct memories is that we had like a family gathering and we were all everybody was celebrating around, whilst I, despite in a room just full of people, was just glued to the TV because this episode is something I really wanted to watch, and that is because of its horror elements. During the second season of the fourth Doctor era, Doctor Who would borrow a lot of horror movie elements and take inspiration from horror stories, and later on it got like silly and stuff, and I wanted something to harken back to that era. With this story being built up as that scary story, we're setting it in Victorian Scotland. We're having werewolves. It has all the right ingredients for a story which I will absolutely love. And pretty good work. But anyway, now you're probably wondering why I am not showing you the actual DVD cover, because that's what I usually do. Just to prove a point, I do actually own the DVD. This is volume 2 of season 2 of the vanilla releases, which only has the episode with no special features. This volume has Tooth and Claw, School Reunion, and The Girl in the Fireplace. For some reason, when I got it, it came with the volume 1 cover, which is the Christmas Invasion and New Earth. Really bizarre. I don't know how that happened, how I got the hold of this. So I got the printed cover of Tooth and Claw, to fit on my DVD shelf. And this must have been one I did way back, because I don't even have the also includes the episodes, blah 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 blah, which is a bit strange. But yeah, this cover was done by Christopher Doctor Who DVD Covers, who does a fantastic job with these. I highly recommend him if you're looking for DVD cover replacement covers. Here is the front with that gorgeous image of the werewolf. It also has Queen Victoria, played by I can't remember her name. Hold on. Queen Victoria in this story is actually played by Pauline Collins, who originally played Samantha in the second Doctor story, The Faceless Ones, probably having the biggest gap between her first and final appearance in the TV show. It's really strange because Pauline Collins was supposedly up to play the companion. Her character was made for a potential companion. To see her interacting with the 10th Doctor is something very surprising and very cool in a sense. But yes, that's much to do it on the cover. Here's the spine, if anyone's interested, with David Tennant there. Yeah, it's really strange how he's the 10th Doctor and his last name is Tennant, as if it was like destiny. Actually, his last name is actually MacDonald, but his stage name is Tennant. And there's the back if anyone's interested. Really cool stuff. There you go. The story starts off with the Doctor and Rose in the TARDIS, planning to go to 1979. What the hell? Ah, sorry. The story starts off with the 10th Doctor and Rose heading off to 1979, of all of these history stuff that they want to see. They want to go and see this this band that the 10th Doctor likes. As we got this really hip song, you know, that hit me with your rhythm stick, you know, that song in it. And this is probably one of the first times that we've really got to see the 10th Doctor. Here he's a bit of a he likes his more modern music compared to his predecessors. He's a lot more like he's a lot more geeky. He's a lot more as David Tennant describes him, geek chic, compared to his predecessors. And that is what the 10th Doctor is. He is a teenager in a sense. He is a teenager with an old man's brain and mind until things get serious, and then his wise, mature self shines through. I like the 10th Doctor's whole enthusiasm and all that. But again, I'm not too keen on Rose and the 10th Doctor's relationship in this story. Again, it just feels like each of the characters are constantly praising each other and just constantly like, you're brilliant, you're absolutely brilliant, kind of like attitude. But this story actually does some really fun dynamic to do with it here. Also, as well, I need to also point out something. This story was actually written at the last minute. Russell T Davies had actually hired another writer to write the story. He wanted a story with the Queen of Victoria and something which we'll talk about later. But this person who wrote it changed the plot. So it was about an insect inside Queen Victoria's eye. And Russell T Davies didn't like that, so he replaced it with his own version with the werewolf. So that's how this story was made. And usually, especially when Russell T Davies writes stories that which have been known to be written at the very last minute. This story actually does a really good job as the Doctor comes out his TARDIS. He finds that he is actually in 1879, 100 years prior to what he was heading to. It's here where they bump into Queen Victoria, as David Tennant gets to use his real Scottish accent, pretending to be Dr. Jamie McEdam, a very, very, very nice nod to Jamie McEdam, the second Doctor's companion. There's a lot of second Doctor things I've noticed in this story, coming to think about it. And essentially, Queen Victoria is in London for reasons. She's travelling around Scotland for reasons that will become clear later on. And she is taking a cabin there instead of getting a train because there was a accident, and it's led to believe that it is actually an assassination attempt. And then Rose, there's a great bit of dialogue in which Rose is, it's like, when you think about assassinations, you think about like JFK, you don't think about Queen Victoria, and the Doctor's like, yeah, she's been attempted assassinated by God knows how many times now. I don't know if this is a reference of sort, but Ghostlight, one of my favourite stories, actually has a plot surrounding the attempted assassination of Queen Victoria. So, again, I don't know if there's like a nod to that or if that was just purely coincidence. I would love to have thought that Russell T Davies wanted a reference to Ghostlight, that weird-ass episode. Yeah. So they take their caravan, their company, to the local house, the Torchwood Estate. Torchwood, that sounds familiar. I wonder where you've heard that before. This is actually the third time that we've heard the word Torchwood. The first time was in Bad Wolf. It was one of the answers to one of the questions in the Weakest Link segments. Then in the Christmas Invasion, we learned a little bit like there's this Torchwood Institute, which the Prime Minister isn't supposed to know about, but she does, and she plans, and she gets UNIT to contact them so they can have shoot this alien device into space, destroying the Sycorax. And now we're seeing Torchwood again. So this story is basically a prequel to Torchwood and the ideas of it, basically setting up the story. What I really like about this is that, yes, it is set up for later stories and later adventures. However, it plays in with the story. It is focused on the story it's telling. It's only really... Torchwood doesn't really become a thing, if you know what I mean, until the very end. And even still, it plays with the themes and the dramatic tensions of this story. Well done. That is how you do a story arc. Sorry, I know I ramble a lot in these videos about story arcs, but when they are done averagely or like bad, it really drives me up the wall because of how overdone they are these days. So yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest. So something seems to be off as this guy with a bunch of these waiters, butlers, people. He kind of tries to like suggest that something's wrong and tells like Queen Victoria's like, this place is probably not the best place to live right now. Would you like to like keep going? But Queen Victoria insists that the Torchwood House is a great place to stay. I forgot to mention in the pre-credit sequence, the cold opener has these monks these monastery monks come to this house and attack and capture everybody, at least the majority of people in the house, including this guy's wife, and they get captured in this basement where they are locked in there with this thing in a cage. So that's the pre-credit sequence. So that already tells us that something going on, and these monks have now taken the form of this guy's butlers, pretending to thing, and they seem to be setting a trap for Queen Victoria. And Queen Victoria gets excited about these stories of wolves and ghost stories surrounding it. The Doctor goes down for lunch with Queen Victoria and this guy. Whilst Rose tries to get a new dress, but suddenly in her wardrobe she finds a maid scared out of her mind, who basically explains what's happened. You know, these monks have taken over the house, and then we cut into the dinner scene, and some of the dialogue. Russell T Davies really knows how to give some interesting and dynamic dialogue. This is probably one of my favourites he's done for a real historical figure, as Queen Victoria is basically talking about how the relationship of ghost stories between children and adults, and how there's some sort of interest with ghost stories, because unlike ghost stories for kids, which is all those spookies and scary stuff, for adults, it's a promise that the other side, people who have passed away, can communicate with us. And she's basically referring to her late husband. And the Doctor's listening in, and you could just see the sadness on his face. You can feel him mourning all those Time Lords that he had to sacrifice at the end of the Time War, and all of those friends and family members that he cannot see anymore. Adric, Katrina, Sarah Kingdom, just everybody, you know, that he had lost. You know, it's really gets to him in this, and you can feel it in his face. That scene is just phenomenally executed. But anyway, the monks capture Rose and the maid and take him down to the basement as well, where Rose discovers that inside this cage is this man, and everybody seems to be really scared of him, but Rose is confused. It's like, hold on, he's in a cage, he's a prisoner just like the rest of us. But this I don't know who plays this character, the man who becomes the werewolf, but whoa, what a performance with those what do you call them, the lenses, the eye lenses, and is almost literally the only bit in his movements is his mouth, and the way he speaks with that really soft tone, as if he's both scared and just full of confidence at the same time. It just really gets under your skin. As he basically explains that this body, the host, was born not long from here, and was taken as a child. And then when Rose asks about the person inside, he explains that he arrived on Earth 3,000 years ago, starting off as a cell, but growing to become this thing. And Rose is like, okay, we'll help you get off this world. And then this person is like, but why would I want to go with all this industry, all this potential? I want to pass myself, give the bite to the Queen, and then I can go into basically transfer myself onto the Queen, and that's how it works in this story. You get bitten by a werewolf, and this alien symbiote then goes to you, and he basically plans to take over the monarchy, where then it will advance human knowledge by thousands upon thousands of years, and it starts turning into a werewolf just as soon as the Doctor basically clicks what's going on, as these monks basically try and capture Queen Victoria, but the Doctor doesn't care. He just runs out and goes for Rose. And probably one of my favourite moments, the Doctor breaks in and, sets everybody free and is like, go, 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 go. But then he looks at the cage, he sees this person now turning into a werewolf. He's basically a werewolf at this point. Also, that CGI effect of it, the guy turning into a werewolf, absolutely stunning. Absolutely love it. Absolutely just pure visually stunning. It's also important to note as well, this is BBC doing a period piece with all the clothing and stuff, and if there's anything that the BBC know how to do, is giving us a really aesthetic period piece. They always are great at doing costumes and stuff like that. I don't know why, but they just are. It's just the thing that they do best. And Eurolin's directing in this. Some of the shots are just stunning, from the close-ups that we get of David Tennant to images of the wolf, and just all of it stunning. But anyway, back to the plot at hand. I love the Doctor's reaction here, where he looks at it, and as everybody's screaming and shouting, he just looks at the werewolf transforming, and it's just like, oh, that is beautiful. That is just beautiful. And he's in awe at just how gorgeous this werewolf is. Surely someone has made some sort of hentai out of that. Every time we see the 10th Doctor and the werewolf in this story, I don't know, it just always stands out. I always have the image of David Tennant just staring this thing down. After being chased around, there's a great bit where, he's chasing after everybody as everything's fine. And then suddenly it goes quiet after the door's been smashed. And the Doctor goes to the corridor. And the Doctor and the werewolf just stare at each other for a while in complete silence. The Doctor, you can clearly see that he's frozen in fear, or he's just in awe in it again. He's just amazed by what he's seeing, as the werewolf, as it's just this absolutely gorgeous CGI work on the werewolf. The werewolf just looks absolutely stunning. I just can't get over how much the werewolf effect stands up. Fun fact, the Mill, the CGI effects company that ran the majority of the revived series of Doctor Who, especially for the Russell T Davies era, they weren't well expertise in CGI fur, so they actually got a CGI fur expert to work on this story. That's just a fact. It's on the Wikipedia page. I don't know if anyone is interested in that, but good job that they did that, because this story, like I said, just looks... Ooh. And then, as we're getting chased around, we get some really great scenes with the Doctor and Queen Victoria. There's a great moment where the Doctor's like, run! We've got any better ideas? No, Queen, as your Doctor, I suggest a light jog. It's good for the blood pressure. Now, come on, run! As they head to the library. And we then get another great scene of Queen Victoria basically like, what the hell is going on? What is this madness? And what happened to your accent? The Doctor had dropped his accent as soon as the action started kicking in. Now going to the 10th Doctor's English accent compared to David Tennant's real life Scottish accent. This does then bring up the question, why did David Tennant put on an accent? Don't get me wrong, he had every right to. I'm not saying, he shouldn't have gotten rid of his accent, or he should, it's completely up to a creative decision. But, the Doctor is a Time Lord, and he has been Scottish before. Like, the Doctor being Scottish wouldn't be that out of character, out of thing. But David Tennant's English accent is just, I couldn't believe that he was Scottish in real life. Hearing him speak with his real accent is just so bizarre. But that's beside the point. The Queen then reveals why she's actually here. You see, she's actually been, or at least her husband has been to the tortured house before. Her husband was actually a friend of the householder's father, who have been telling each other werewolf stories and about the local myth. And she also reveals that she's been carrying the jewel. I can't remember what the jewel is called. It's one of the crown jewels. As she explains that she came to Scotland to get it cut because of her late husband always used to cut it. This is apparently a historical fact according to the 10th Doctor. I didn't look this up. I should have done it before the video. I do apologise, but anyway. And the Doctor basically pieces together that, oh my God, what if this was a trap all along? What if your husband and your father, they told about these werewolf stories, but not as fictional stories, but as fact, and they actually set a trap within the trap. I forgot to set up that the guy's father had made this giant telescope, which the Doctor thinks is a bit rubbish because in the inside there's just way too many reflections or something like that. The Doctor then learns, it's like, hold on, that's what if the diamond and this thing are actually connected in a way to defeat the werewolf? I just realised I've just skipped a lot of bits that I want to talk about. So I'm going to backtrack a bit before I talk about the ending. One of the things I really like about the story is it's the bit where it turns over. So the first half of the story, the first half of the story is really jokey from the Doctor and Rose's perspective. They joke around, they have a laugh. Rose and the Doctor actually put a bet on whether Rose can make Queen Victoria say, "We are not amused," something which she is constantly quoted as saying. I don't know if she actually said it or not, or whether that was a Mandela effect, whether she only said it once or twice, but it's something that Queen Victoria is supposedly have said a majority of times. And it comes like loads of laughter, and you can clearly see that the 10th Doctor and Rose are basically giggling to themselves as if like they're in on a joke that nobody else is in. As soon as the werewolf stuff starts kicking in, and the revelation that these monks, who have, as they've been described, have turned away from God and started worshipping the wolf. Love that line, absolutely love that line. Does then the story take a massively serious turn? Gone is that jokey humour. Not to say there aren't very funny moments in it. Like I said, that jog bit is really funny, and the Doctor saying like he's being rude to someone, and he notices that he's being rude, so he asks Rose, and when Rose says yes, he's like, "Good, I meant that one." Which is a reference to the Christmas Invasion, where like he's rude and he has to have like somebody point it out. Something which I think the 12th Doctor would also have something similar along that line. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, so the Doctor makes this pyramid, makes the pyramid of the telescope shoot this beam of light, which then the crystal then reflects and hits the werewolf as it corners up the Queen. Before this, basically everybody apart from the maids and the wife of the household basically get murdered, including the husband character who risks his life, sacrifices himself to buy the Doctor and Rose more time. The Doctor explains this device is basically shoots moonlight at the werewolf to a massive degree, which Rose is confused about because it's powered by the moonlight. And the Doctor, I love this great line, basically explains it, where the Doctor's like, you're mostly made out of water, but you can still drown. It's like, oh yeah, that is a good point. And the imagery of this werewolf then is like hold it up in a beam of light and becomes transparent, almost like kind of sad as it turns back into its human form, and it's like, make it brighter. Let me go. I don't know what it means by that, but that's what it says. As the Doctor powers the device up, which evaporates all traces of the werewolf. Although the Queen is looking at a mark on her arm, which might imply that she has had the werewolf linkage inside her, or at least a segment of the werewolf. Maybe it has survived within her, which leads into a nice jokey bit at the end where the Doctor's explaining like the Queen's family tree and Rose is joking, and then the TARDIS dematerializes with Rose going, "Oh my God, the royal family are werewolves!" But then we get a scene with I forgot to mention, Queen Victoria knights the Doctor and Rose. So the Doctor is now officially knighted. He had been knighted before in the 5th Doctor story, The King's Demons. However, it turned out that time that it was a robot duplicate, chameleon. So this time is the first official time he's been knighted. Also, Rose is now knighted. Dame Rose of the Powerless State and Sir Doctor of TARDIS. Remember that. And then she basically banishes them from the United Kingdom, stating that that basically the Doctor and Rose bring trouble. They've caused so much trouble. They've been around so much trouble like this that it doesn't faze them anymore. They joke around. They have a laugh. They kind of think the whole situation is kind of funny, and she is kind of disgusted by this. It's like, what evil, what madness must have taken you that you can you even have like enjoy and laugh about these really serious matters where people have died and there's witchcraft, magic, and all of these unholy things like werewolves that are alive. So I banned you from the United Kingdom, as the Doctor and Rose head off back to the TARDIS. Whilst here, Queen Victoria is talking to the wife of the household, and she basically explains that, right, she's going to sell the house. There's nothing really she could do that will keep her husband's memory alive, their legacy. But Queen Victoria comes up with an idea. She's just recently learned that all of these magic, all of these things from another world, they are real. Werewolves exist, ghosts probably exist, vampires probably exist, you know, all the unholy supernatural stuff. So she requires that she will make a institute which will defend their borders from this particular supernatural stuff. One which will keep the Doctor out of the UK, and she will name it after the house, the Torchwood Institute. And there you go, that's Tooth and Claw. Overall, this is probably my first 10th Doctor story that I've actually liked. I really enjoyed. Lin's directing is a real big standout here. With the effects, the costumes, the camera angles, the directing, the acting, just all of it comes out to make a great storyline. The 10th Doctor is probably the most fun he's been so far. The story is very right up my alley with this horror-themed and this very gloomy setting. I love how most of it is set during the night, and we get great shots of the moon and the werewolf and stuff. I do feel it could have been a little bit better. I feel like we could have had a bit more suspense with the reveal of the werewolf. I wish we had more scenes of the human form, because that actor was giving a fantastic performance. And I wish there was some sort of more detail about the monks and why they've started worshipping the wolf and why they're doing all this. It just feels a little bit short as well. It feels like this. I feel like for one part it does itself a really great service, but I think it would have been better as a two-parter, in my opinion. That's an issue which I have with most one-parters of the revived series. So there you go, that's Tooth and Claw. So join me next time when the Doctor, Rose and Mickey Smith go back to school to fight giant bat creatures as the Doctor gets reunited with an old friend. A very old, dear friend. So join me next time for School Reunion and Tardisode 3. And I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-ra!